Well, thank you once again. Welcome you today to this ministry to engage with you by way of disseminating on our activities for the past period. And this, I believe, is very important, which of course is also in line with the Team Plus agenda of the state government, our dear Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, that we must constantly be rendering account of our services to the public. We are not here for ourselves, we are here for the public, and the ministry, as we all know, is very, very important in the core pillars of the state. And good enough, just of recent, we are now talking about also the ease of doing business, for which it's been taken very seriously in Lagos State government. And one of the core pillars of ease of doing business happens to be this ministry, because businesses cannot be done in the sky. It has to be on the ground. And if it's staying on the ground, there will be some form of fiscal structures that has to be put in place. That, of course, puts us in a position to ensure that we prepare and ensure that businesses are run properly and with ease. So on behalf of the ministry, I welcome you here today, and I believe at the end of the day will be a fruitful day for us. And most importantly, that we ask very relevant, important questions so that our people out there can have an understanding of what we're doing here and how it's being done, which of course is in the interest of the public. I'm also aware that of recent you've also heard about sorry, the coastal road. You've also heard about the Iyanoro incident, and also the visit of our dear governor to some parts of the states. So I hope that questions will be asked, and we here will provide more details which can be fruitful to the populace in terms of understanding the operation of the government. Thank you very much, and you are welcome. The issue of the estate developers that we rolled out some publication, I think sometimes around July. Yeah, around July. And prior to that, we went out to the site, which of course is our work. Our work is not entirely office-based. We went out to the, and we discovered that, of course, one of the things that is booming now, which of course I believe you agree with me, is the estate development syndrome. And of course, this is coming up because people are becoming more specific now, what we call division of labor, that people should concentrate in their chosen discipline. A doctor should concentrate entirely in his medical line. Lawyers should concentrate in their own, and so on and so forth like that. Now, in addition to that, you also have the problem of the encounter during purchase or search for lands. So all this put together has necessitated the birth and the importance of estate development, whereby instead of people buying land and looking for consultants and contractors that will oversee the development of those houses, that it might make sense that, okay, they go into purchase of houses by way of estate development. And the laws setting up, part of the laws for the ministry entitles us to regulate and provide guidance for estate developers. There are procedures, there are requirements that has to be met before estates are developed. First, that the particular site chosen must be suitable for that particular development. And secondly, that it's also designed in line with all the necessary planning requirement, which is what we call layout approvals. That is, before you go into estate development, you are supposed to first obtain your layout approval. And what we've seen so far, the one we released is particularly around Lekki axis, Etiosa, Lekki, and Ibeju, Lekki area. Now, what we have seen is that people have gone to purchase those lands for the purpose of estate development without recourse to the use of that particular land. Majority of the land around Ibeju and towards Ikorodu axis, Ekpe, are entirely land that are marked for agricultural purposes. There are also some areas where they are mapped for industrial area, which people have gone into and purchased. And unbelievably, they have partitioned this land into some funny layouts, which they have already started selling, especially to our brothers in diaspora. A lot of money has been committed into this area, and it will be difficult for those people to come back and say they want to develop in that area, because they will not be able to get the planning permit approval. Now, so we went out very aggressively, and we collected some estates. Even there are cases of some that actually commenced the processes, but they did not finish it up. And that was why we went out and we made that publication. And we gave them 21 working days to enable them to effect regularization of their various approvals. Some of them have responded, and we are already commencing a process of correcting all the anomalies. Of recent, about a month and a half ago, we had Loma going to seal a particular estate. And what was the contravention? It was strictly that the planned waste disposal system for the estate was not followed. And that's one of the reasons why the importance of layout approval is also very important. It enables all the various related fields to have input, because the layout goes to show, to also to determine the power requirement, the waste management system, the sewage management system, the water reticulation system, as well as the topography of the land, which will enable proper design for the drainages to ensure that there are no flooding in that estate. Also, you have, for comfort, area has to be mapped, which we call the green areas for children to be able to play around. Now, when these things are approved, what we've noticed that some developers now move to site and jettison what was approved for them by way of not complying with those layouts. Areas that are marked for open green area are now turned to additional built area, which is not in line with the law. And part of the requirement that was given when approval is given is such that if you fail to comply with any aspect of that layout as approved, you have rendered that approval null and void, which automatically means that that estate is illegal, because you are not carrying the title as granted in the approval. So their time is lapsed, and we've collected them. Those that have responded, we've guided them into what to do. Those that have not responded, we're mapping out plan, and any moment from now, we'll go to the field and ensure what is right, what is our duty to be done. So we're going to come out very heavily on them. It's my appeal that we don't wait all to that extent. We all have the opportunity to comply. It will be very embarrassing to the residents of those estates if we move there and we start sealing up the place. It will be a big embarrassment. So they have enough time, and they still have time again to ensure that they comply with this requirement. This, the purpose of this thing is not entirely the benefit of the government. It's also for the people that reside in that estate. We are concerned here about the sensible state of living estates should be produced in such a way that people living, residents within that estate can have comfort. So that's on the publication on the estates that was released. And it's going to be an exercise all over the Lagos State. It's not just that area alone. We are also collating other areas of the states. Ikorodu, for example, we're going to come out very soon, even within Ikeja and up to Badagry. All estates within the Lagos states are going to be covered by this exercise. Again, we have also, upon that publication, we have also gotten a lot of requests from some, how do I put them now, coerced assets. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that there are some dwelling units whereby they were built independently, but for one reason or the other, especially security, now decided to come together and treat themselves as an estate. So we've mapped out modalities to recognize and reassess those who are making requests for that, the requirements that they are going to comply with before we can recognize them as an estate. Also, what we have presently that qualifies for layout is 1 hectare of land. That is, if you have to do a development that is from 1 hectare and above, which is 10,000 square meters, you are qualified to have layout approval before your individual building permit approval. However, with the current state of the state now, with the current influx and move into estate development, we are reducing that now to 5,000 square meters. So if you have a development now on a land of 5,000 square meters and above, you will be due to have, you will be qualified to have a layout approval before you go into the individual planning permits. Also, the ministry, part of our responsibility is the production of the various plans which are supposed to guide the development within the states. We're talking of the regional plans, the model city plans. Now, this is a very, very important document for us, and it's very, very key in this ministry because it guides the activity majorly of the ministry. Now, when, let's say, for example, Ikorodu model city plan. Now, what that gives us is a working document that every other MDAs within the states will take root from. And in the production of those plans is something that is jointly done by all the MDAs as well as stakeholders within the cities, the traditional rulers, the market women, the schools, the transport businesses. All these we come together to review and ensure that we produce this plan. So when these plans are produced, the various MDAs will now pick their own what concerns them and start the commencement of their operation. For example, the works and infrastructure, all the roads and drainages that we see all around, these are offshoots from the plans that are produced. The same thing goes for education. It gives a pointer to the number of schools that are the new schools to be produced, as well as those that needs to be expanded. That's the importance of those plans. And I may bold to say that as of today, there has never been any development that is done in the state that is outside the produced plan. And that's a big plus to us, because if there has been one, it would have meant that we have not done our job properly. But as of today, there is no development, no anything done that is not captured within those plans. And I make both to say, and kudos to our governor, because Lagos State is about the number one, and if not the only, that regularly updates our plans, because development are done in line with those plans. the red line, the blue line, the green line that we are starting, the orange line, the purple line, they are all offshoots from these plants that are produced. Also, we've, because one thing is to have these plants produced. Another thing, of course, those plants are produced over time, sometimes 20, 30 years, that is expected to be executed. But what we have noticed is that we don't have 100% execution of those plants. Now, we have a department that is coming up now that will be saddled with the responsibility of also interfacing with the public by way of PPP. Because part of those plans, there are some that private enterprise can also be involved in. It's not entirely that government must execute. Some of them are such that it could be run on a PPP arrangement. So we are opening up our horizon on that. Both local and international investors can partner with us in the execution of some of these plans. As part of what we've done in the current past is to also position the ministry very seriously for some iconic projects. Like they used to say, the world now is a global village. The world is becoming smaller and smaller now that we really have to position ourselves. Now, we talk of airports. For example, Ogun State has just gone into development of airports. So in the ministry, we have now positioned ourselves that if in case we need to have like the Lagos State airport that is coming up along Ibeju, Lekki axis, close to Ekpe. We may also have interest shown by private people in terms of airports. So the ministry has positioned ourselves now that we can give guidelines and requirements and specifications as required airports development, as required seaport development. We are aware of the Lekki deep seaport that is just being opened. There is nothing wrong that says that we cannot have another airport. So we now have all the planning requirements of airports, seaports, burial grounds, even highway. Good enough with the Lekki, the Calabar Coastal Road that is coming up. That is going to open up that axis, and that is what we call the transport-oriented development. So there is going to be implication as a result of that road. It's going to have direct impact along the lines that is passing through. So, and this will lead definitely to rapid development of those areas. So we've positioned ourselves to get the requirements for various developments along major highways. Another very interesting challenge or topic to us is when people complain about the time it takes them to get planning permits approval. And we made bold to say, and I repeat once again, having fulfilled all the necessary requirements, in Lagos State, you can get your approval in not more than 10 working days. 10 working days, you can get your approval. The requirements are so simple and so clear, but we need to have an understanding of this. Now, we must agree with me that the way we are, which is part of what our president is doing now, this tax reform, it will not make sense for somebody to say you want to do a development and you are not paying tax. Tax is very, very important to any government. It is with this tax that the government will be able to deliver on the promises that they've made to our people. So for us in Lagos State here now, you cannot do any development if you don't have evidence of paying tax. It's not hidden fact. It's a clear, open fact. You must show your evidence of your tax payment, and that will simplify your process of planning permit approval. Once you've gotten all your necessary documents, architectural drawing, structural drawing, depending on how big the structure is, LUPA, planning, technical planning reports, and all the like, engineering reports for structural engineers, soil tests if it is required. Once all these are in place, 10 working days, you will get your approval. Because once you approach the office with your drawing, the officers there are well trained. They will give you the guideline as what and what is outstanding if you have not met it. But once they've taken it from you and you have been given an assessment of what to pay, once you made that payment, 10 working days, you will get your approval. And you can put it to test. You can put it to test. You will get your approval. Once you are given that assessment and you pay, from the day you submit your payment receipts and the drawings are taken and the file is open, 10 working days from that day, you will get your approval. Again, the way the world is going now is electronically. So we are also looking forward, a lot of effort is being put in place by our dear governor to ensure that even our approval process will make it fast by way of executing it electronically, which means at the comfort of your room or your offices, you can apply for your planning permit. But I must quickly add to this that we really must be sincere with ourselves. You have to tender all necessary documents without lying on them. Your survey must be clearly declared with the right sizes, not a doctored survey, because if you do that, we have the system 24/7 online that we can determine your site when you make the application. So because it is it doesn't mean that you go and doctor the survey and you think that you can go away with it. It's not possible. Also, we have this agency which is rejuvenated now called LASPEMA. It's now renamed LASISMA. The purpose of that agency, because what clearly defined a state, if we travel, we say London, US, Dubai, beautiful, beautiful. We say this because of what we are able to see with our eyes. And basically what we see is the use to which they put those informal spaces. In most cases, we don't go inside the buildings, except maybe you go to the hotel or where you are going. But when you drive around developed world, you see the environment and you say this is okay. It is simply because of the use they put their informal spaces to. Now in Lagos here, we are also positioned now, and come next month is going to be launched by our dear governor at a hotel. That agency, and what they will be doing is the transformation of all the informal spaces in Lagos. And what are the informal spaces? Informal spaces are spaces that are not captured by lands in terms of allocation. An example are when you have the road, before you get to the building, you have some space which we call setback. That is an informal space. Now you also have some spaces under high tension, for example, for which people are not expected to build. You also have spaces along where you have a gas pipeline underneath. We don't allow people in the area like that. You may also have a space that may be qualified either as incident space or informal space, spaces where the government want to use in future. So all these spaces now, they have been collated, and I can tell you authoritatively that we have over 3,000 hectares of those land in Lagos State. And like I said, this is going to be launched next month by our governor, and we have the agency that is saddled with that responsibility to define the best use that those spaces can be put into. For example, under the high tension can be mapped out for what we call urban agriculture. That is those that plant vegetable. You must have been seeing them sometimes on the road along Ojo. There are so many of them there. So we're going to have some areas that will be marked for them. You may also have areas that will be marked for, like along Lekki Axis, those that are selling cars. You may also have areas that will be marked for parking. You may also have areas that will be strictly for planting, which Last Park is doing now, Lagos State Gas and Parking. They are responsible for. These are things that can help in beautifying our environment. So these agencies will define those spaces, and all the relevant MDAs will be allotted, and those spaces for them to effectively take charge. Also, we're going to have collaboration with private participation. We all can attest to what Zenith Bank has done on the Ajose Adeogun Axis. That place is actually very beautiful. If you go there on a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, you see people traveling all the way from Abule Egba just to go there and take pictures. So we also want to encourage other private enterprise to also go along that line. With all this put together, we are going to change the face of their states. I will end this submission by closing up on this department under the ministry that we call Technical Services Department. This department is very, very, very important, I must say, because it is the department, apart from providing technical support to the commissioner by way of engineering analysis, architectural analysis, geotechnical analysis, and all the likes, they also attend to petitions. And I'll be able to say that almost on daily basis, we get not less than about 20 petitions from people who will be complaining one thing or the other. My neighbor has built fence, one factory has blocked our road, and things like that. And we, as a responsive government, we have to respond to whatever petition that is sent into us. And there is also one of recent, which is at Alagbado, where some people are fighting over the informal space along Agbado area, where mechanics are there, carpenters are there, and they start fighting each other before they now petition. So they went in there to resolve, and what they do is to resolve all those complaints. Resolve all those complaints, which enables the community to live peacefully among themselves. So a kudos to this department for what they've been doing so far. We also have complaints sometimes from estates. Magodo residents, for example. There is another estate along Lekki Axis that had complaints with their neighbor that the new islands that we are opening up along Lekki Axis, that they are now passing through their estates. And the implication of that is when you have heavy trucks, it has impact on that particular road. So we are involved in resolving that to ensure that another route is made available for that new estate. So these are services that are provided by that technical services department. So I hope that I've been able to talk on the very, very major ones. Let me end by saying that last year we appealed, the ministry appealed based on the request and pleading from the public. We made an appeal to our dear governor, and he graciously agreed and approve that we go on amnesty for people that are yet to get their planning permit approval. And we started from 1st of May to 31st of July, which was also extended from August to December 31st. We've also gotten a lot of requests and pleading from the populace that we should please appeal to the governor once again to grant them another period of amnesty for them to get their planning permit approval. So we are going to make an appeal to our governor again to help us look into this, and so that we can go out again for people to enjoy the benefit of this amnesty. Now, I really must commend the people, because what we've noticed from our field study is that the percentage of approved building in Lagos State is not encouraging at all. It's very, very low. And we try also to look into the reasons why is that low. Apart from the fact that we've seen that we also need to do a lot of aggressive publicity, people are now willing to get their planning permits approved. Because if, for example, you need to approach any embassy now, and there is a need for you to tender your property document. If you tender any document, once there is a fence on it, not to even talk of structure, the embassy would demand for the planning permit. So people are becoming aware of the importance of the planning permit. Also, if you need a facility from any financial house now, and you approach them and there is a need for you to tender your property document, once there is a fence on it, they will demand for the planning permit. So all these put together are now making people to be very, very conscious about the importance of their planning permits. So a lot of people are coming in now, and we also must respond to them. So we will appeal to our governor to give us another period of amnesty so that people can get their planning permits approval. On this note, I thank you very much.
Can we put our hands again?
Oh, sorry, I have to, this question is always asked. I've been to TVC, I've been to channels, I've been to Lagos TV. Now, go and check the meaning of illegal. Anything that is done out of order, it is illegal. Now, we all seated here, we have one form of certificate or the other, either WAEC or GCE or HND, BOND, BSc. Now, some certificates, you will have it there, which of course in our own is there, that if you alter this certificate, you render it useless. You render it null and void, and it becomes illegal. If your name is Olachuku, and they wrote Olu, and you think you can use your pen to change that U to A, you have rendered that certificate null and void, and it is illegal. It cannot be presented or tendered anywhere. The same thing goes with our approval. And let me give you one example. Now, if you say you have somebody applied that in this estate, I want to develop 36 units. And the layout was done, everything was done based on that 36. And the person now moved to site and developed 38. Is it covered by that approval? Is it covered by the approval? No. So for us, that estate is illegal because you don't have a paper to back it up. And as of today, nobody out of those lists published, nobody has come to us to clear that their name shouldn't be on that list. Nobody, none. And as of today, I think about 43 have responded. And what happened was that some of them actually started the process. Some of them actually started the process, but they stopped along the way. Now, the simple order is that before you do any development, you first apply for the layout approval, and you'll be given a provisional approval, which enables and entitles you to commence your infrastructural work, not the building. Not the building. It is when you have finished the infrastructural work and you get the final approval, then before you can now apply for the planning permit of those individual buildings. Now, if somebody had an approval that this estate, the waste disposal system is such that it's going to be treated centrally with a waste treatment plant, and you now move to site and start doing individual septic tank and soak away, that is not what was approved. And mind you, somebody is doing within the estate, somebody is doing the soak away is here, maybe they don't have sufficient water within the estate, the person will now drill a borehole. So we had about close to about 100 applications, approvals that are ready for collection, but they don't have evidence of tax. They cannot produce evidence of tax. Some of them have been communicated with, but they cannot produce evidence of tax, and we cannot release the approval. Like I said, I have an issue here. I mean, you must be a good citizen in all ramifications. That's it. When we want to do enforcement, we don't disclose that. But the fact is that there is always engagement. There is always engagement. Now, let me give you one example that is also coming up now. Just try and drive along the coastal road now. Now, along the coastal road. Prior to the commencement of the coastal road, that place was cleared. Everybody vacated the place and work commenced. As soon as the road was done in certain area, go there now, they are there physically. You see people putting nylon and paper, what's it called? Carton paper to make shelter. And they are there now, heavily, they are there now. They are there. And that's how they will keep expanding. What led to all this one you are mentioning? Yanoworo, Makoko, all those riverine water area, that's typically how it flows. They will start with small tents, 2, 3, 4 people. Come next week, 20. 2 months time, 80. 1 year, 100. Keep expanding like that. And they will move from that nylon to use pan, zinc sheet. From there, they will start doing the floor in concrete. From there, they will start block. That's the, what's it called? The genesis origin of all those squatter areas. But as a responsive government, we normally notify them. Some of them even get to the extent that some local landowners, the so-called Omonile, will move there and start saying that their forefathers, this, their own, and they will start selling. And unsuspected public sometimes will buy into it because they will probably sell very cheap. So they will buy into it and they will start building. And when we move there, we normally engage them to let them know that, look, this one you are talking about, the Yanoworo you are talking about, the Woro you are talking about, they were adequately carried along. It's not new, but this is the excuse that people will always tell you, that they were not informed, and that is not true. In the first instance, it is illegal. So what compensation will you be asking on? So I should carry the tax you are paying, because I know you work in channels, you pay tax. The tax that you pay to go and give somebody on an illegal structure, are you okay with that? Should the government be doing that? to carry your own hard-earned money and be giving somebody illegal your money. Is that fair? No. But that is left to, is beyond my capacity and level. The governor can decide on what to do with that. But our responsibility is that those areas, what are the conditions that warrant demolition? One, if you build under high tension, we will demolish. If you build over a gas line, we will demolish. If you build on drainage paths, we will demolish. If you build on setbacks, we will demolish. Those ones are direct. Now there are others that if you build on an informal or not ready to use land, as in the case you mentioned about, because they can't get approval, they don't have approval. And unfortunately, because these are buildings that are done by quacks without recourse to proper examination of the engineering principles. So even if they are built, they will end up as distressed building because there was not proper engineering analysis done in terms of the quality of foundation you put in. You start having cracks. So on one side, they don't have title to the land. On another side, they don't have approval. On another side, what they even built is threat to life because it's now a distressed building. So you have more than enough ground to remove them. And they were adequately informed. Now, the way I want people to look at it is because this comes up every time, which is what we face regularly, distressed building. When a building is marked as distress, it means that it's no longer suitable engineering-wise for habitation. It's now a threat to life. And once it is declared as distress, it doesn't necessarily mean that the house should be demolished. An assessment of it will be done by what we call the NDT, non-destructive test, to assess the structural stability of that building. If it is such that it could be fortified, then a qualified engineer and professionals will be brought in. And it's like you have a car and the engine is smoking or something like that. It doesn't mean you condemn the car. It might mean that you go and buy a new engine entirely. So it's the same thing with building. But there are some cases where you know that, okay, this car cannot go again. And you dispose it off. So it's the same thing with building. God forbid, if, for example, we have an area flooded. Because when we tell people, and it's been shown to them that this house is distressed, you have to move out. You want to demolish it. We say, no, you can't move out. They don't have where to go. Meanwhile, this thing can collapse. Cases are there. As example, it can collapse and people will die. Compare it with if you have an enclave and water moves in, like what happened in Kogi. You can't sleep there. You move out immediately. That's a fact. There was a building in somewhere in Butemeta which was marked as distressed. They refused moving out. We went there with enforcement, evacuated all of them. 2 days after, because there are so many of them, 2 days after, some people went back and the building collapsed and one 82-year-old woman died there. What do you say to that? And once a life is lost, there is no recovery. It's gone forever. If you are alive, your building is demolished. Once there is life and you have the support of God, you can be fermented tomorrow and build another one in Banana Island, provided the life is not gone. But once it's gone, nothing can be done again. See, planning takes time. Planning takes time. When, if you want to do a development, especially in that particular area, you have to first do clearing. You probably need to do soil tests. Then you go and do all the analysis to be able to determine what type of building. They now do the design before you now start talking of financing, contracting and tendering systems. So sometimes it takes time, the process of field reconstruction. But a lot of things must have gone. And in the process of those things going, you need some field activities that must take place. Now, the one that you mentioned, if Panguru, I have 20 people, Yaba, I have 10 people, Butemeta, I have 6 people, officer, go and clear them today, go and clear them today. We will not sit down in the office to work again. We will not sit down. And, you know, I also mentioned when I talk about the new agency in charge of informal space, I also talked about that what do they do? All those areas, they have to plan and determine their use. And there are some that, for example, we may deliver a right of way where we are supposed to do road. Maybe the road is 3 lanes here, 3 lanes there, and the government does not have the fund to do the whole 3 lane. Or maybe there is a main road, which is the express, then you now have the service road. But they don't have the fund to do the service road now. So they say, okay, let's do the main express road. Then maybe 5 years' time, they will come back and do the service road. So that 5 years' time, people move there, which is what you talk about. But we have the agency now who will now take charge to see what best use they can put that place to, pending the time of the commencement of the next phase of that road. But we cannot go out and be saying that once we sit there, one person, well, the agency is coming up to do that. I hope you understand the question. That is the most serious challenge that we are facing in Lagos. That's the most serious challenge we are facing in Lagos. And what is it? It's the fact that once we study, we do a design, we finish execution. As you are sitting, I don't know, some of you that are from Kogi, Ibadan, Bauchi, Lagos is sweet too. Okay, I'm coming tomorrow. The person comes, you don't have any job to give him. Okay, I will just give me 5,000. I'll be selling pure water.
He doesn't even have a place to stay.
And he doesn't have a place to stay. The population increase we are having in Lagos is not even majorly as a result of the BAT. It's majorly as influx of people. And we are all one Nigeria. You cannot ask for visa from somebody from Ibadan to come to Lagos, or from Bauchi, or from Kaduna. They are free to move everywhere. That is it. That is it. If their own area is sweet, equally good like Lagos, they will not come. Go and look at Badagry axis, Ojokoro, that road that we done to that Okoko road. Go and see. Severally, the Commissioner for Environment had to go and clear them. They will clear them today. In another 1 month, they are back again. They are back again. If you don't have a business to be in Lagos, meanwhile, where they are coming from, Ondo, Ijebu, Abeokuta, Bauchi, and the likes like that, they can put themselves to meaningful purposes there. Small farming there and there that they can do, rather than coming to Lagos and creating all this problem everywhere. And even we as a government, part of the reason why we are investing heavily on transport infrastructure, the roads, the rail, is the fact that people can come in from the suburban. If you cannot afford the central, it's everywhere in the world. London is very expensive. People go and stay in Manchester, Liverpool, outside. The city center is always very expensive. New York is always like that everywhere in the world. At the same time, you also need these people for the services. They are going to be the gardener, the drivers that will clean the house, but they can't afford there. Ordinary BQ in Ikoyi may be more expensive than even a flat in a place like Ikorodu, for example. Meanwhile, these people must come there on a daily basis, and they cannot live there. And for them not to be sleeping and turning into squatters, that's why we invested on the road and traffic infrastructure, that you can live in Ikorodu and use train and come to via Ikoyi. Just last week, the governor just reduced the fare for the Blue Line, having operated for 2 years. That's what we are doing in Lagos. And people should complement that effort so that we can all have a beautiful city to live on.